YouTube, we've now got Podcast 002 in the can, as they say. We've got a secret mystery guest that provided some really interesting answers. I think it turned out really well. You're going to want to watch to the end of the video, because at one point, my guest ended up stumping me pretty good on a question. The tables were turned. You're going to want to watch all the way to the end. Believe me, you are not going to want to miss this podcast.
Hey YouTube, Empty Nesters Life. This weekend we've got a partially full nest. We've got our youngest son, Zach, who's here, and he's graciously agreed to be the interview topic for Podcast 002. So with that, we're going to take it away. Zach, any opening words or comments that you have?
No, what's going on? Big fan of the show. Been around since day one.
The way the format of the show is going to go today, we've got a series of 3 simple questions we're going to ask. We're just going to listen to the responses. That's going to be followed by a quick game of this or that. This is New Year's Day 2022. And following that, I've got several videos that Zach doesn't have any idea what they are. I'm going to pop these up on the screen. Some of them he's seen, some of them he hasn't seen. And we're just going to get his reaction. So with that, we'll just go right into question number 1. So question number 1 is we're talking about formative years. Give us an example of a hero and an example of a villain growing up.
Growing up, I was able to have lots of positive influences. Of course, my dad being one of them. All my relatives were very positive. I had many heroes. I had many heroes growing up. One of my football coaches was my 7th grade football coach, and he was actually like the meanest coach I ever had. But it was in a weird way. As I got older, I kind of realized that he helped me out a lot.
And how so?
Because I had a big head.
Past tense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, well, I had a big head, and I mean, honestly, rightfully so. I thought I was pretty good at football, and I was. But he made an effort to make sure that I understood the difference between confidence and cockiness. And he called me out at practice one day in front of the whole team. And at the time, it was very sad, but for me, but I learned a lot from it, and ended up he's a really good coach. He's one of my favorite coaches.
Could you say you've learned from pretty much all the coaches that you've had?
Every single one of them, even the ones that I didn't like as much. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, that coach ruined that sport for me, or I stopped playing because I didn't like the coach, and that just never made much sense to me, because I had a lot of coaches that I didn't agree with or that I thought were not very good coaches. But I mean, if you love the game enough, you do it no matter what, I think.
And for clarity, what sport are we talking?
We're talking about football. Football was kind of my thing growing up, and what I think I excelled at the most.
And for the international listeners, we're talking about American football. American football, not soccer.
For all you people from Slovakia and Ukraine,
right.
We're talking about American football. Real football is what we call it.
How many of your friends would be able to point to Ukraine on a map?
None of them. I don't think I could point to Ukraine on a map. Actually, I bet I could.
I bet you could.
I don't think any of them could. They're great dudes. They're all very nice.
Yeah. So give us an example. Give the viewers an example of a villain who's like not on TV, not a character, but like a villain that you had growing up. Who was your Lex Luthor?
Same thing. I kind of had a few. And the crazy thing about it is all of the people that I've ever been around, or not all of them, but a lot of the people that I've spent extensive time with that I felt were negative influences or negative examples of how I wanted to be, they were all my friends, really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
I've found myself in lots of situations where if I wouldn't have been with that friend, I wouldn't have been there. So then you kind of, you realize that your friends can be your friends, but they turn into villains pretty quick when stuff hits the fan. I had one friend who, I guess the best way to put it is he had a really good way of showing me what I didn't want to be doing. We weren't friends very long, obviously, but I think he was a villain in my life, but I came out of it on the positive end.
Would you say Lex Luthor-ish?
Yeah, Lex Luthor-ish, or any villain from any movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Like Thanos from the Avengers movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You want to talk about villains and that,
mm-hmm.
but a lot of that, would you say, is self-inflicted injury?
Absolutely,
in a lot of cases. So, that kind of goes to question number 2. Question number 2 is, whether it be in regards to athletics, employment, or work, or grades, give us your thoughts on hard work versus talent. How do those two things work together or not?
Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Growing up playing sports, there was so many, I could make a really long list of people that were pretty much born with more talent and one of their cleats than I ever had that just didn't ever want to work hard. Not to make excuses. I guess that could have been part of just the atmosphere that our town kind of put on.
For reference, a couple of weeks back you had a birthday.
Uh-huh.
So which birthday did you just pass?
I just turned 21.
Just turned 21.
Yeah.
And so you've been out of athletics for a little bit, out in the workforce.
Yeah.
Have you seen any similarities or differences between personalities, talent, work ethic that you saw on the athletic field that you're seeing now in the workplace?
Yeah, I've learned that in the workforce, they haven't been watching you work since you were in 5th grade, like our football coaches and teachers that have been watching us do that. So they don't really care. I mean, if you just show up and you work hard, that means everything in the workplace, I think. If you show up on time, do what you're supposed to do, and excel at what you're doing, I think that even if you're doing stuff wrong, I've realized, if you're at least working hard, even if you end up messing something up, there's a lot better chance that it's just, it'll get fixed and it'll get brushed over. But if you're, you could be really, really good at fixing engines. That could be like your calling. But if you don't show up to work, or rude to your boss, or are lazy, then that doesn't really matter. And they'll get a dude who has never seen an engine but shows up on time every day, and they'll teach him how to. I would say hard work beats talent every time.
Well, and for context, not going into too much details, but when you show up at work in the morning, are you inside a building dusting off computers, or are you more like working the land?
Take care of big yards, and it's a somewhat physically demanding job. My work is kind of strenuous, I suppose, but it's nothing that couldn't be done by any able-bodied person.
Well, and here's, really the first knuckleball part of the interview, substances, right? Throw drugs and alcohol into that. What's the effect that you've seen? Now, as a young person, there's always pressures in society, pro-drug and anti-drug. Does one side or the other have more influence?
Everyone is against being an alcoholic and stuff. Unfortunately, especially I've noticed with people my age and people younger than me, it's almost glorified to be drunk all the time.
And how so? And in what form?
Snapchat, for instance, you can go and look. People post what are called Snapchat stories, so you go and everyone can see it. 80% of the people I have on there, Friday and Saturday nights, people will go out drinking, which is normal, I guess. But they drink so much to the extent that they're throwing up on themselves and they're falling downstairs. And the worst part about that is that their friends are videoing it and they're
instead of helping
and they're saying, "Look at this alcoholic," as he's puking on himself.
Right.
Which it's honestly, it's sad.
One of the negative aspects of social media.
Right, yeah. And I don't want to sound like I've never done anything bad or ever done anything I shouldn't have done. I just feel like I have a really good understanding of where I'm at as far as substance abuse goes. And I have a very good understanding of who the people are around me and how they handle that kind of stuff. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. Last question for the question portion of the get-together. From your opinion, are millennials entitled?
Me and Nick, my older brother, actually have talked about this quite recently. The short answer is yes. I think yes. I think it has a lot to do with your parents, and I think it has a lot to do with your whole outlook on life. There's been times where I've caught myself feeling entitled. Maybe I've felt entitled to have more money from my boss when I haven't done the work that deserves that kind of money. And my brother has kind of had the same thing. So I think the short answer is yes. I think millennials are entitled, but I think that I was lucky enough to have parents that gave me everything I needed and gave me pretty much anything I wanted to, but still instilled very good principles in my mind, and I understand hard work, and I understand like when you show up on time consistently, just kind of doing everything you can.
Expectations?
Yeah. I mean, it's stuff as simple as like when you tell someone you're going to do something, you do it, or don't lie. You have to be honest.
Tell the truth, or at least don't lie.
You have to. A big thing for me, and it kind of always has been, is like being able to own up to your mistakes. But I think overall a lot of millennials are entitled, but I also think that a lot of millennials have very, very open minds and are very, very interesting people. I have so many friends that are really, really interesting dudes. I have lots of very interesting friends. I have also some friends that grew up in very rich families, but their parents were, kind of like my parents. We had everything we needed. I pretty much had everything I wanted, but the principles were instilled in my brain, and that's how a lot of my friends were. So where I'm from, where my friends, I don't think a lot of us are entitled, but I think nationwide, I think probably worldwide, I think that millennials are quite entitled to that.
Or at least in the first world.
Yeah.
Well, and see, I'm a big fan of millennials.
Right.
From my experience, after 9/11, a lot of the folks my age, they just split.
Right.
Like, hey, I was here for the college money, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And we had a whole crop of millennials that came in, and they were just like,
let's go.
I I want to jump out of a tree and kill some terrorists.
Yeah.
The follow-up question is, would you say that millennials are entitled? Maybe even a little bit more accurate to say that they're just impatient.
That would be more accurate. I would say that they are more impatient. I also think that the generation that came before us, I think that was a generation of, because, you know, a lot of people, like in your generation, I guess, like their parents were in World War II.
Mm-hmm. World War II, Korea,
World War
Vietnam.
II, yeah, stuff like that, you know. So I think that my generation was really lucky to have the generation of parents that we had. I think that their parents instilled stuff like that on them.
Well, and, you know, in complete honesty, not to give my generation too much credit. So my generation's also the ones that came up with participation ribbons.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
came up with that whole everybody wins a T-ball idea, which
Yeah.
I think might be a big part of why millennials sometimes have never failed.
Mm-hmm.
And then they hit the workforce. You just fail nonstop,
Right.
and they don't know how to cope.
Right. I guess the way that I think about it is if if you're going to go around complaining about your paycheck, then maybe you need to work harder.
Look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror. I think a lot of people my age, for some reason, have this thing, and maybe not a lot of people, just some people that I've come across, I feel have this attitude of like everyone's out to get me, and I think that it's a lot of people my age. It's almost a trend to be wired a little different, to not be normal.
What would you call that? Like, are you saying like victimization?
Mm-hmm.
Victim mentality, I guess?
There's this term that I keep hearing, and it's called gaslighting. And I don't really know what that means, and I could be wrong on this, but from what I've heard, people say they're gaslighting me.
Mm-hmm.
Learned about it. It seems like gaslighting is calling you out on your BS, is kind of what it is. You know?
Right.
He told me that I wasn't doing my job well. He's gaslighting me.
Well, what if they're not doing their job?
Well, exactly. You know what I mean? My boss is rude to me and gets mad at me every day when I show up to work. Well, when do you start work? Well, we're supposed to be there at 8. When do you get there? I get there at 8:15. Nowadays, from the people that are in charge of construction crews or mowing crews that I've talked to, or owners of my company, my landscaping company, just showing up and doing what you're supposed to do kind of makes you a rock star nowadays.
Sad. Yeah, these are...
Hercules.
We're going to get into this or that. Now, these are, I think there's about 10 of them, tailor-made for you personally.
Okay.
So we'll do the first one. We'll take it easy. Remember, you just pick one or the other, and then you just say why.
Okay.
The first one, pickup truck or Jeep?
Wow. Pickup truck. And I'll tell you why. I think that, I've got, all my buddies have pickup trucks. And all my buddies have helped me move stuff. Or I've helped them help other people move stuff, So I think as far as space-wise, I'd rather have a pickup truck than a Jeep. I think Jeeps are cool. I think they're awesome, and I think they're good for rock climbing. But I live in Kansas, so I would pick a pickup truck, yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mike Allstock.
In a fist fight, or which one do I like more?
Any way you want to look at it.
Well, Stone Cold Steve Austin, I would say, is a pretty stereotypical tough guy. He smashes beers over his head and chugs them. But he's an actor, and he was in the WWE. Granted, I'm sure he could do some damage if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike Allstock was an absolute tank. And for the people watching, if you haven't, look him up.
Yeah.
Because
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Because seriously,
University of Purdue Boilermakers.
yeah, and I showed all my friends the videos of this guy, and none of them have ever even heard of him, and I don't know why.
It's sick.
But I mean, ever since I started playing football, my dad has showed me Mike also videos, and the dude was seriously probably one of the toughest dudes.
Just epic.
Second to Pat Tillman, favorite player.
Remember that video where there was guys down on the field and they just started laughing? They were like, "Oh, stop! He's a giant."
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's clips of him just stepping through people's chests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Rocky Road ice cream or fudge?
Well, I like Rocky Road. I like fudge. I've had more fudge. I'd pick fudge just because I like it better, I guess.
Next one, shotgun or pistol?
I guess for home defense, I would say a shotgun because, as Bill Burr says, if you have a shotgun, problem's over there.
Blam.
Boom! Problem's not there anymore.
Not a problem over there.
So, yeah.
Or over here because they saw what you did over there.
Right, yeah. So, but you'll have to fix some drywall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for home defense, I think for practical use, shotguns. But, I mean, I've done competition shooting with pistols, and we shoot all the time, or we have shot all the time. I love pistols. That's always been my favorite to shoot. So I pick pistols.
Yeah. The state of Maine or the state of Florida?
Well, I see naturally you picked 2 states I've never been to. Maine seems like a really cool state with I mean they're like a pretty, like they got lots of trees and stuff, and I don't know, Florida. I'd pick Florida. I think it's warmer and there's, surfing and stuff and probably lots of girls.
Like at Miami
Yeah.
instead of Bangor.
Yeah.
Bangor, Maine.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Uncles or aunties?
Well,
That sucks, doesn't it?
I've got a great uncle. I've got a great aunt. Well, I actually had like 4 different aunts throughout my life, but I am an uncle, so I'd have to pick uncles.
Got
I
those
guess.
uncles?
Yeah.
Sony PlayStation or Xbox?
Wow. That's a really good one. I actually just bought a PlayStation just for the Spider-Man game. I've always been an Xbox guy though. I like the controller better. I like the layout of the home screen better. But they're both great. I have both of them, obviously, but I'd pick Xbox.
Down to the last couple. Joseph Stalin or Saddam Hussein?
Both dirtbags. Saddam Hussein, I don't know as much about. Joseph Stalin, I learned extensively about in school and from my dad and stuff like that. Joseph Stalin, I think, was more powerful.
Big time.
Yeah, so Stalin, I would say.
Now, the annex question to that.
Mm-hmm.
Who wins in a fight between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Joseph Stalin?
Well, if there's no weapons, I think Stone Cold Steve Austin would win.
Bearing in mind, Stone Cold played football at North Texas State, Division I,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
Joe Stalin was about 5'4"3/4.
Yeah. So Stone Cold Steve Austin wins that. But to add on to that, any American would beat Joseph Stalin in a fight, I think.
Heck yeah. All right, and the last one, Rocky Balboa or Rambo?
Well, in a fist fight, I think Rocky wins. I think in a fight...
Does he?
Maybe
Does
not. He might not. He might not, but based on... wow, that is a really tough one because obviously both Sylvester Stallone and both great movie franchises. But Rambo, I think, would win that one. Overall, I like him better just because I think he's been through more, and I think that he's a little bit more of a savage.
I think so.
And, I think that's pretty cool.
Are you ready for the appendix to that question? Who wins in a fight between Rambo and Ivan Drago?
Well, Drago's dead to me, so Rambo probably. I think Rambo. Well, if they were fighting in a ring, Ivan Drago. If they were fighting in the forest, Rambo.
Okay, and for the final segment, numerous video clips queued up. Zach has seen some of them, hasn't seen some of them, but I don't think he's seen any of them in the last probably 6 years. So this should be a surprise. Okay, so you ready for number one?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's the...
Which one are you?
So I'm the one in the back that's crying. That's my young dad there. There's my 2 brothers up front. And it's kind of funny because me and Alex are actually kind of making the same face.
Yeah. You have the same hair, too.
Yeah.
One of you guys is really having a lot of fun.
Yeah, like. Nick was having a lot of fun. I think he had a churro before that, so he might have been on a little sugar high. I think there was a pretty girl sitting in front of him, too. I know he was super scared. But I think I was maybe 7 or 8. It was a lot of fun. That was a really fun day for me, and that was a lot of fun. I've rode the Mamba since then, which is that big roller coaster.
And where was that? Where was that one at?
That's at Worlds of Fun in Kansas City.
Yep. And are you ready for video clip numero dos?
Yep.
Whoa! Whoa! Good job.
Is that me?
Of course it's you.
Whoa! Good job.
It's a podcast about you.
Okay, so yeah. Where was that? Was that in Montana, maybe?
I'm sure. There's
I'm
snow.
sure.
I'm sure as hell wasn't in Florida.
Yeah, so obviously I've always had real good balance.
Whoa! Whoa! Good
That's pretty funny. I've never seen that video, actually.
Yeah?
But that's pretty good.
Whoa! Good job.
All right. You ready for video clip number 3?
Uh-huh.
All right. Roll it.
My crazy cousin Gunther.
Yes.
Okay. That's really cool. That's a really pretty video. And I wish Gunther would have said something in it. That would have been funny. Maybe would have ruined the video.
Could have.
So I already know which one this one. This is my first varsity touchdown that counted. I actually had a touchdown the week before this, but I got called back. So that play was called Z reverse.
How many touchdowns did you score with that play?
A lot. Yeah, we had a guard pulling, and we had me coming in reverse. That's a great play. That team was not very good.
It's not on that down.
No, yeah, not on that down. So that is my senior high school football team running out of the tunnel before a game versus Winfield. That's me holding the flag, team captain, chucking it on the ground. That's awesome. I haven't seen that video. That's pretty cool. That was, you know how Pat Tillman talks about, you know, his scale of intensity from 1 to 10. That was usually about my 10. That, the national anthem, and the first play was usually where I was shaking out of my pants, pretty much, of excitement and nervousness.
You played what, tight end?
I played slot back. I played strong safety, and played quarterback, and I played all over the place.
Yeah.
Hey, Zach, you gonna dance a little jig for us to Nick's music? No?
So that's definitely in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
Hey,
funny.
Zach, you gonna dance a little jig for us?
You remember that day?
I don't remember that day. Well, I think I remember like a few glimpses from that day.
You were like 3.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. I don't know if I've seen that video before, but that's really funny.
Hey, Zach, you gonna dance a little jig for us to Nick's music?
Oh yeah. Okay, so that was when we went and got our scuba certification at the Y, which that was so much fun. That was a lot of fun. That was one of the funnest times I've had.
You didn't have any trouble with that gear or
No.
scuba or anything, did you?
Mm-mm. No, I feel like me and all of us honestly took to that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think so. Well, -1.
Right.
Because somebody didn't want to get her ponytail wet.
Yeah.
Understandably, you know.
Nick's
a new
always,
thing.
Nick's always worried about his ponytail.
That's right.
Just kidding, of course. But that was a lot of fun. I have looked at pictures from that recently. That was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you look like a pro.
Yeah.
I mean, you look like a natural. That was within 5 minutes of you being underwater.
Yeah, that makes me want to go scuba diving again, like in an ocean, because that was a lot of fun, even just at the Y. So that was in Honduras, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was in Honduras. That's my mom with the birds. She was scared. Those birds were so awesome, and they also had the monkeys that would take sunflower seeds out of your pocket. That was one of my favorite days, I think, on the cruise. That was so much fun. That's so funny.
I don't think that was her favorite thing.
No, that was so funny. Mom is so funny.
See if you can remember this one.
Oh, okay. So that was the wedding we were at in Germany, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that dude who's playing the drums reminded me so
Johannes,
much.
your cousin.
Yeah, Johannes, our cousin, reminded me so much of my grandpa Will.
Yeah. And he let you drive something. What did he let you drive?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was so cool. It was a lot of fun. It was an old Bug, wasn't
It
it?
was a Volkswagen convertible.
Yeah, it was
About a 1960, something like
it was
that.
a 4-speed, and it was awesome. And Nick killed it 3 times, and
Yeah.
I didn't kill it once.
Yeah,
But that is so funny. He is like Grandpa Will if Grandpa Will was German.
yeah. He has your hair.
Yeah.
I think you're a little taller than him.
Yeah, that was a good time too. I remember him having an extremely, extremely firm handshake,
Yeah.
which was the first time I had a firm handshake in Germany. Maybe one of the first times.
It's because he's a drummer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That was a good time.
Okay, so we're up to the last of the mystery videos. But the knuckleball question is, you got to come up with one this or that to give me. It's not like you're on the spot.
I know. Let's see. There's so many that I guess kind of halfway through run through my head. So, okay, 9 mil or 45 round or 45.
9 mil because I'm more accurate with it.
Okay, let me give you a harder one. Walter Payton or Earl Campbell.
Earl Campbell
Okay.
because he was a truck. Walter Payton was good, but he was a dancer.
Okay. Let me give you a little harder one. Army or Marines.
So I'm going to go Army because we're bigger.
Okay.
That's a good one. All right, so you ready for the last of the mystery videos?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, okay. So that's Alex wrecking his bike in the river. Me and Nick were laughing pretty hard. I don't remember where that was at, though.
It's in Montana.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that was when we were up there for a summer, for like a whole summer, and that was a really fun day. I remember swimming in the river, and I got a leech on my leg. I think I got a leech on my leg that day, and my brothers were telling me that it was going to kill me, and it was really freaking me out. But I actually do remember in that moment laughing really hard, but being kind of worried that Alex had hit his head on a rock.
Yeah. But he jumped right up.
But no, he was fine, obviously. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And so here's the culminating question. So your brothers used to tell you there was something underneath the bed that horrified you. Tell our viewers about that.
And you know what? Since you said that, I just realized what stems my magnificent fear of farm animals.
Yeah.
Because I don't really do goats or horses
Right.
or anything. Or chickens, especially. I'm really scared of chickens. Well, not scared of chickens. I could definitely beat a chicken in a fight, but I don't really like them. But my brothers, that summer in Montana, used to tell me that there was pigs under my bed. And then when I was asleep, they'd crawl under the bed and start oinking. And so I'd reach my hand under, and one of them would grab it and yank me off the bed. And so I ended up sleeping with my grandparents a lot. But yeah, for some reason, they knew I was scared of pigs. And so that was pretty scary. I was pretty young though. I mean, I could definitely beat a pig in a fight now.
Yeah, but as a 3-year-old.
Yeah, but yeah, as like a 3-year-old, it's pretty scary to get oinked at, I guess.
So pretty good conversation. I think we went down some roads we really hadn't considered. Appreciate you coming on. The last word is yours. Anything you want to tell anybody about?
You know, I'm really glad I got to come down here. We love coming to Texas. My girlfriend, she hadn't been to Texas before, so we brought her down here. She's loving it. Any of my friends that are watching this, what's up, I guess? I think we got some pretty good content.
All right, so with that, we'll close it out.
Alrighty, awesome.